What is going on, everybody? My name is Brother Sean.
And I'm Rusty Diamond. What is up?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Table Talk, the show where we are two roommates and we talk about random shit. We talk about events in the week. We talk about social events. We talk about conspiracy theories. And occasionally we may bury somebody.
Oh shit, dude. You're already going. I just spent the last fucking 5 minutes writing you a text burying someone. So I've already I've already done that for the day. I already got that started off pretty well.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We'll occasionally bury somebody. We don't have to do it every episode, but, we're going to bury somebody potentially today. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what that means we're going to share the truth about something. But um,
Our perceived truth. It could be
yeah,
not the real truth, but it is our perceived truth.
speaking of perceived
Ooh.
truth, man, I heard something this week that blew me away because I've always lived as perception is not reality. Where somebody talks about something and they perceive something, and then you, as the other person on the other side, well, it says, well, perception is not reality. You know what's crazy? What I heard
What?
is that their perception is their reality and mine is my reality.
Yeah, dude. I heard someone say this dickhead guy that I can bury too. He told me that if you're ever gonna go and commit a crime of some sort, like a really fucked up crime, you don't do it away from a lot of people. You do it in the middle of a whole bunch of people around. So
Mm.
everybody has these conflicting stories, because everybody's gonna see and experience what they're gonna experience. And that really I don't because I mean even anything we have so many different viewpoints of so many different fucking things, and the slightest fucking thing, we can read a story, we can read an article, we can take in news, and we all take it in a different way. And if you have two people that see you, I don't know, stab someone in the leg with a shank, which happens every day, uh,
Mhm.
and you do it in a back alley, and two people see you, you're going to have two reports, and probably those will be slightly different. They might be totally different. But if you get 500 people, 1,000 people all at once, and you try to go and ask them about what happened, you're going to get 500 different things, and you have to filter out what is the truth, what is the perceived reality, what is the actual reality, and who the fuck knows, man.
Yeah, I've heard something like that before. Because conflicting stories eat up time, but also they you know may shed light on something different, on a different perspective. Um, the way you're describing it, man, sounds a lot like a Joker mentality, like Joker from Batman,
So
like
what about
AI.
so if Joker was to, yeah, go and just do it in front of everybody, you know,
Yeah,
you have mass, and you also have mass hysteria as well at
yeah,
the same time with an event of that nature. And sometimes there's events of that nature where you don't hear any firsthand witnesses of any of this stuff, and
yeah,
who the fuck knows,
yeah.
man.
Right, right. But I find it wild, right? Because I've always run with the idea of perception is not reality, and that I reflecting now because I've been doing a lot of reflecting in the past 2 weeks. Reflecting back on that and reflecting back on my life, I've definitely used that, and I can take responsibility and say that was minimizing to people when I would say that shit to them, right? Like perception is not reality, but their perceptions, their reality, based off of their feelings, their emotions, and and everything like that. So I don't know, man. Like if I've ever done that to anybody, I'm sorry. I apologize. I understand now.
I mean, you're just experiencing your reality and you're just expressing your reality, and everybody's reality is valid. Some people we may see it as fucking stupid. Some people we may see it as brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a crapshoot, and we might be like, oh well, that's not how it happened, but that's how it happened to that person. And then you get into people that are different brained, or like get people with narcissism or something to that effect, and they're gonna see what they perceive to be shit. I don't know, dude. Whatever it may be, and like
Yeah.
it's gonna be different than a lot of other people. That's what they actually see and what they actually believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also on top of that too is like trauma plays a real big role in that as well, right? Like, if somebody's experienced something over time and something seems familiar to them, right? Like, so if you enter into a conversation with somebody where they have been minimized their whole life, or they've been persecuted their whole life for the way that they think or act, or pretty much like told to shut the fuck up and don't speak, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and they enter into a conversation with somebody, and it starts to feel that way, it's going to trigger that response from them where it's like, oh fuck, this is similar.
You
And I think
hold
a
on.
lot of times it's
Oh, go ahead.
I think a lot of times it's humans that we, especially in conflict, like healthy or unhealthy conflict, like we sit on one side of the bench and we don't have the perceive or the perception, or we don't have the insight to be able to look at that other person and say, well, fuck, they're going through something that they've shared before, and maybe it's my turn to just like slow my roll.
Yeah. Okay. So hold on. So like your
Yeah.
microphone sounds funny now. It doesn't sound as good as it did before.
Well,
So
that's weird.
I'm not sure what happened with that.
Oh, I haven't touched anything. I
I
haven't
know you
touched
haven't touched it.
anything.
I don't know if you're moving a certain way or what's going on. It doesn't.
Cha la 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 la.
That's not bad.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
but and, yeah, that sounds better now. But okay, so the people's trauma is what is dictating how they're going to react, and it's
yeah,
always that way. And I mean that goes into, hey, let me fucking plug my hypnosis, and like
go for it. Do
you
it.
got the fucking shit, dude. You got shit that needs to be taken care of, and you can experience it every time you're going to experience it. And it's going to be fucking shitty, and it's going to stay
Yeah,
shitty. And you can try to run from it, but every time you run from it, it's going to come back fucking twice as strong, at
yeah,
fucking least, and reaffirm what you're already thinking. And
yeah,
so every time that happens, then it just gets stronger and stronger, and you try to stay further and further away from it, and you want to hide from it. But every time it's going to fucking pop on back. And, that's when you got to say, hey, man, I got to fucking deal with this shit. It's going to suck one more time, and it's going to suck bad. But as you're going through it, then it gets fucking better and better. And then the next time it shows up, you're already on the healing part. You're already fucking
yeah, yeah.
medically speaking.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, and I agree. You know, I'm going through that right now, like in my personal life, and you and I have talked about this pretty frequently.
Sure.
But I've been in this place where there's like real hurt, real heartbreak, and the old me, even like post third divorce, right? Like I avoided those feelings, those negative feelings, right? Or I would seek safety, so I would like or seek pleasure, so like turning to other women or drinking, or taking my mind off of things versus like actually sitting with the feeling and feeling it. And now I don't do that, and it's probably the hardest thing that I've done in my adult life, because like I'm not running away from things. I'm staying put, and I'm allowing myself the process to grieve. Like even talking about it right now, like I can feel it in my chest and my heart. Um, but that gives me the opportunity to see the lessons that I skipped over when I was much younger than I am now.
Right. And I mean, shit, now I might have to go and uh, hypnosisize you later. Because I mean, yeah, and like sitting with it fucking sucks. Sitting with it
Mm.
sucks, but it's part of the process. And I've done it where I've, you know, gone for jumping into shit, jumping into fucking whatever else and jumping in strong. But eventually, you know, with
Yeah,
my brain, I'm going to get burned out. And then I'm going to be like, oh shit, here it is again. Here we go.
yeah,
Hi, let's deal with this. And then I sit there and I fucking deal with it and it sucks. And
yeah,
then, you know, but it's what we got to do. And it was a lot easier before to get around it, but eventually you got to fucking, you know, hypnotize yourself, hypnotize shit. Fucking,
yeah.
you got to fucking I'm just putting myself over here, man. I'm fucking. We are talking about burying people. Now it's just like, well, now I'm just gonna start putting everyone over because fuck it. So, but it's only been me
Okay.
so far. So,
Yeah,
you know, hopefully I can put other people over in this talk. But
yeah,
I think that just being able to sit with it is is good, and you know, like sitting with it, and it's hard to not want to get up and not want
yeah.
to do shit and like but we still need those slight pattern interrupts in our life of some sort even in
Mhm.
those times, whether it's going for a walk, usually
Mhm.
something physical, uh, getting up, jumping up and fucking spinning around. I
Yeah,
don't know, doing something just to like stop, because those thoughts can get repetitive. Those thoughts can just wear us down pretty fast.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's simple. It's simple to fucking get there, to get to, oh shit, like here's this thought. Oh, there's that thought again. Oh, there it is one more time. Let's keep thinking about this. And then that's when you gotta fucking boop,
yeah,
get that. The duck has got a quack,
yeah.
bro.
Duck's got a quack. And I think that pattern interrupt comes, we should allow that pattern interrupt to come when we start to feel those heavy negative thoughts, right? Like, so for me, one of the thoughts that crossed my mind that like caused a pattern interrupt for me was like saying, I don't want or need anybody, right? That to me is like ultimate loneliness, ultimate isolation. And then that starts to breed those more heavier, thought patterns that I've ran to. And so when that started to happen, I'm like, fuck, I gotta get up. I gotta do something, right? So like, for instance, fuck, 2 days for 2 days, I slept on the couch with the blanket and my pillows, TV on, because I didn't want to be in my room. And I didn't want to, have the four walls closing in on me. But like the more that I sat there, like I get up, eat something. But like the more that I sat there, the more I ruminated on it. And then I started hearing those thoughts of I don't want anybody or I don't need anybody. Uh, I don't need anybody to soothe me. I don't want anybody to soothe me because I don't fucking trust anybody. Um, I voluntarily was like, we're gonna do something to change this scenario. So like one day when those thoughts came really heavily, uh, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to Pizza Hut to go get a pizza because I wanted a fucking pizza.
Yeah,
And
where's
then
there a Pizza Hut?
Tawny Town, like 10 minutes away.
Oh, no shit. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. So like I was like, man, I really want a fucking pizza. I'm hungry and I don't, nothing in this house is appetizing. Not that we don't have anything, but like, it was just like, nothing is appetizing. I want a fucking pizza. That's the only thing I could think of. And I was like, let's get in the truck and go. And mind you, while I was going there, there's things that were going on over the phone. Uh, through text message, but it was like I was making that pattern interrupt for myself where I wasn't wallowing in the self pity, but I was still feeling the feelings, right? Like I wasn't running from them. But also, the day after it was like, okay, I need to go for a walk. So it was cold. I just got up and I just fucking went for a walk. Opened up the window when I got home so that it wasn't just stagnant hot air in the house. And I just opened up the window and I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it's okay to go and stop to let your brain do something else for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
People use that a lot in arguments as a diffusion technique, especially
Yeah.
when things are getting very difficult. And,
Yeah.
it can be a hard thing for
Yeah.
someone, like when you're in the middle of it and things start getting a little hot,
Yeah.
being able to say, hey, I need to step away for a few minutes, like that can
Yeah.
go a number of ways right there. If you tell someone at that time, again, with that trauma response, there's probably a lot of people who are part of that. There's some sort of trauma response with arguing and stuff of that nature, that trying to tell someone, hey, I need a few minutes, or again, I like saying, hey, you need to stop and take a breath. You need to calm down, which
Yeah.
is something that we know how well that goes, telling someone to calm down when they're in that space. But there's just still so many trauma responses and so much unresolved trauma in those moments. But sometimes we need that time to reset and let things, get back to on the right track to homeostasis. Not
Yeah.
homeostasis exactly, but on the right track to it.
Yeah, there has to be a level of self-awareness to that as well. Where it's like you're aware that your brain and your body are fighting against each other, and they're like, hey, I need a fucking minute because none of this is making sense. And so that self-awareness is important. But also, like, what is important in those moments is that you have a partner that is, or the person on the other side of that argument or disagreement that will respect that, right? Um, that will respect that space when you say, "Hey, look, I need a break," and they can either say, "Okay, I respect it," and then not respect it, and just keep going on, or approach the situation before you're like, "Hey, I'm good. We can re-engage this," or a partner that just says, "Okay, cool. Come back when you're ready," and then you do it, and then you work through it. That's really that I think is paramount because if you try to re-engage that person, right, like it starts to come into the state of disrespect, like disrespecting people's boundaries. Because, like, I know for me, depending on the disagreement or the argument or what was said in that and said argument, I'm going to need like 10, 15, 20 minutes,
So
maybe an hour or two.
so go and say that to me right now. Say
What do you mean?
say I need. Tell me what you would say if you were going to say, I
Uh,
need this time.
yeah, yeah. So I would say, hey, I'm feeling a little bit fucking angry right now, or feeling a little bit triggered right now. I need some space. I need some time. It could take 15, 20 minutes. It could take an hour, 2 hours, but I'll let you know when I'm done and
No,
when
we're
I'm
going to talk
ready.
about this right now. We're going to talk about this right now. You're not fucking going to get away from this. Yeah, and you're gonna turn your fucking shit off. Like, I can't even see you right
Yeah,
now. And
yeah,
like, fuck it. We're gonna talk now. You don't want to talk right now, then that's when shit fucking starts going
yeah.
sideways.
Oh yeah. But then, like, when you enter that part of the conversation, there's a ton of things that go wrong, right? Like a ton of things. And I've seen a lot of different things, right? Like there's ultimatums, like we don't talk about it now, we're done.
Yep.
Why do we have to fucking settle this right now, right? Like we are in a space of time where we have infinite time, right? Like we have infinite time to work through this. Why do we have to work on this right fucking now? Are
Right.
you are we going to astral project somewhere else? Are we going to lose our consciousness? Right? Like, no. Are we going to die right now? No. So like, let's set that shit on the back burner. Let it reduce to a simmer, even like cool down a little bit, and then we'll fucking re-engage. Because like, if you value your person, or you value the person on the other side of that, right? Like, you want them in the right frame of mind to start having those harder conversations where you don't trigger them, or they don't trigger you. And the triggers are going to come regardless, because like, we're just humans, right? But giving them that space and that grace to be like, all right, look, shit's fucked up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to act out.
Yeah. So
But
I think in the ideal world,
nobody's gonna reach that, like, nobody's gonna be able to reach that level of awareness where it's like, I hurt you and I'm sorry, until everything is de-escalated. So why are you poking the bear, trying to make things into something they're not?
right. And that's the point when you go back to there's not really anything that can be done at that point. Yeah, someone's going to be upset. Someone's already
Yep.
upset, probably, and then you're going to get a few different ways that can go. Like that can probably go from horrible to sort of good, but then that can also then reinforce that that's an okay way, like setting precedent in the relationship, that that's
Yep.
an okay behavior, and this is how the only way I feel I can be heard,
Yeah.
and like no other way I'm heard. But when I do this, the other person responds in this way and I feel validated.
Yep.
And then it just continues. And then that becomes the go to rather than a last resort,
Yeah.
because it's all about, like a stream, it's always going to find the way of least resistance, easiest fucking flow.
Yeah. Yeah. But it takes both people to work on that, right? And it takes communication to have that shit happen, right? So, for instance, like this last situation I'm in, I couldn't grasp like exactly how she, this last relationship I was in, I couldn't grasp how she needed me to communicate with her. She tried to explain it. It wasn't that I didn't want to hear what she had to say. I just wasn't grasping it, right? And so I watched a video, and I wasn't even searching up a video for this specific instance. And this is after like everything had, started to dissipate, the relationship. And I found a video by somebody that she watches, and like everything made sense. When I heard him talking, everything made sense. It all became very clear to me that this is how she communicated. And then in the back of my mind, I started to say, I really wish I would have found this earlier. I wish she would have shared this with me earlier, because now I have a better grasp on how to reach her or how to communicate with her. Um, but yeah, it takes effort from both sides. You want, and I think it boils down to, you have to teach your partner how to love you, but you have to teach your partner how to communicate with you. Because if you're not teaching them, you're not sharing with them, then you're setting the relationship up for failure.
Right. So that's something that should be like right off the bat. I think that when people start even talking, like at least those two things should be
Yeah,
brought up. Everybody should know these answers and everybody should discuss them, right? As that's a good, maybe second date activity, second, maybe even third, probably maybe
yeah,
third date could be good, because then it's not, but it could be first date, you just kind of see where it is, feeling it out. But I think it's one of those things that we should all know about ourselves, and
yeah,
like that's,
yeah,
yeah. yeah, maybe coming up with a list of things that need to be addressed right off the bat before anyone enters into a relationship could be a cool thing for people to have.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, obviously there are people that are toxic for each other, right? Like if you're going off the moon phases, right? Like we know that certain signs don't do well with each other just because of what it is, or your energy or your aura or trauma or whatever. Like energy work is very real, but I feel like we can all meet each other on a playing field of like, hey, look, right? Like this is how I communicate. And if you're not getting it right, right? Like later on down the road, you're not getting it right. Pull your partner aside and say, hey, look, man, like you're not getting it right. Even if it's like 1, 2, 3 months into the relationship, say, hey, look, I'm not saying that you're bad or you're horrible, right? But you're not reaching me to the level that I do. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Let me show you something. Let me explain to you, or let me show you how I communicate effectively, or how I would like you to communicate with me in these moments of contention, so that we're not burying each other and we're not throwing shit on the fucking fire. You know?
Right. And, once shit gets on the fire, like there's always going to be a bit of a shit presence
Yeah.
around. It's hard to get rid of it. You fire bad, but fire
Mhm.
also doesn't burn all. Fire sometimes leaves behind remnants.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how well, like, because then it might get, if it's, I don't know, into the ground, into something. Someone tell me about when you burn poop. I've never burned poop and put it on
It
someone's
chars up like
doorstep.
a rock. It chars up like a rock. I've done it. I had to do it
Oh,
for deployments.
what? Okay, hold on. Go
Okay,
back to this.
we're side quest.
Yeah, side quest. Why were you burning poop? Uh,
Mm,
is this Billy Madison on the
no,
category that he really hopes he gets burning dog poo and the human response? I
no,
believe.
no, no. So no, so it wasn't every deployment. It was my first one. We were establishing an outpost or a base or at the top of a mountain, right? And we had no running water, we had no toiletry, we had an outhouse, like a porta john, and there was no roads leading up to where we were. Everything had to be airlifted in through a helicopter. And so the only way for us to get rid of the feces or the shit was to burn it. And so you took gasoline, poured it over, lit it on fire, and then just we called it poo stew because it literally started like turning into a stew like substance, and you had to go like spin it up or stir it up for it everything, all the feces to just come to the surface and fucking burn away.
Okay, and so what did it smell like?
Disgusting.
Okay.
It
Do you remember that
imagine
smell?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It smelled like you know imagine taking a toilet that you could not flush because it just wouldn't flush, and then pouring diesel or gasoline on it and then letting it on fire.
It
You don't smell
smells
the
like
fire. Right, like you could, like generally, if you're at a fire, a bonfire, or you're around a fire, you can smell it. That you couldn't. It was just the overbearing smell of fucking feces, just filling the air, and it was disgusting. And actually, there's the VA now has started doing research into the effects of burning feces,
what?
which they call the PACT Act. And essentially, it's like harmful toxins that have been burned while on deployment, that affect the body, right? So burning feces is one of them, burning trash, burning batteries, all of which I have been.
Whoa. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, is this for no trace that, people aren't going to see like a big pile of shit and be like, "Oh, that there must be nearby, like the troops must
No,
You
No,
just burn
no,
it
no,
just
no. So
for
it
fun?
was we were literally no,
Funsies?
no. I mean, we weren't doing it for fun. We were doing it because like we had one porta john that it was a wooden structure that we built. There was a hole in a fucking in a board, and we would sit on the board. I mean, somebody had smart ass. Somebody had ordered a toilet seat, so we had a toilet seat there, but it was just this 55-gallon drum that had been cut in half that you shit in, and then when it became full, you pulled it out and then burned it. But you burned it right there on the base, so or on the outpost. So it wasn't like you were dragging it out into the middle unsecured, right? Like you're doing it in the middle of the daytime. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, essentially, what was happening is with the VA is they're doing these studies of the effects on it, and it's like they equated it to the PACT Act, or those effects are this generation's Agent Orange.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't think we were gonna go down this fucking,
Yep.
uh, path
Me
here
neither.
of
No,
that.
no.
Dude, I had no fucking clue about that. That's crazy. That's
Yep.
crazy. So they weren't doing this back then, or do you think they were doing it back then as well? Like, not the batteries, but, like, burning shit or burning garbage. You think they were doing that
In
back then?
Vietnam?
Yeah, or let's say Vietnam, or let's say even before Vietnam. I mean, they still had a bunch of shit. They still had fucking, gasoline or diesel or something,
Okay,
and they
so
probably had garbage and shit.
I would say no. I would say no
Okay.
because if you like history of wars, right? Like if you watch histories of wars, like when you had there's two different kinds of tactics that we've seen in war. One is force on force, where you've got two sides clashing, meeting in the middle, and then you meet up for the next battle at another place, boom, clashing. Then you've got guerrilla warfare, which is like targets of opportunity, right? Like you could be walking through the woods, you get ambushed, and then a follow-on attack, right? So a lot of the wars that we have fought, like as Americans have fought, like in the history of America, have been force on force, right? So we got Revolutionary War, Civil War. Then you've got World War One and Two, but then you start stepping into like Vietnam and Panama and these other conflicts, Grenada, where it's very much guerrilla warfare, and that was the same thing. It was force on force during Desert Storm, but then it shifted into guerrilla warfare when we went to Iraq in the 2000s. And same thing in Afghanistan, guerrilla warfare. So you don't have the opportunity to collect a mass amount of trash to throw away unless you got the guerrilla warfare because you're with force on force, you're going to a location, you're flashing, and then you're just moving forward. You keep on going. You're not establishing a settlement. You're just moving forward. Whereas guerrilla warfare, and in my experience is we had a base of operations. We'd move out of there and go do like a patrol or do combat action, and then come back. So you had that opportunity to collect trash. You had that opportunity to collect feces, and then you would burn it. So a lot of the times in the past, I don't feel like the burn pits, quote unquote, or were something that were of major concern. But I know Agent Orange was, but every generation of military soldiers that has faced some kind of warfare has something different, except World War II. A lot of the veterans coming back from World War II didn't suffer from PTSD. I mean, maybe they did, but there's no long-term study of it at all. Like,
So were they all just on vacation during World War II? Did they not really do anything? Were they out
oh, oh no,
fucking so they
no. I
experienced
mean,
all this shit, but they had nothing, or there was just no reporting on it?
there was really no reporting on it. I mean, my great grandfather, I have a picture of him out on the wall here. He was in the army during World War II, and he was, went to Germany, shut down concentration camps. Uh, but he came back, and it was like he was normal, from my understanding. Like there were no, um, he didn't suffer from PTSD that I'm aware of. He just kind of did his thing. Obviously, if you had somebody that was missing a limb, or if somebody suffered from a loss of life, limb, or eyesight, obviously there's something up with them. But I think overall the general population didn't suffer from that. Now you move into like Vietnam, dude, PTSD out the ass, right? Like those Vietnam veterans suffered at a level that I can't even fathom, right? And I feel bad for that, for, Vietnam veterans. My grandfather is a Vietnam veteran, and I absolutely feel terrible for him, not just for the fact of like the PTSD and all that stuff that he, survivor's guilt, but also on top of that, right? Like they got treated like absolute shit when they came home. They didn't get the
Yeah.
hero's welcome. They got shit on. So that's another level of complex PTSD where it's like nobody wants me. And then that was like in the beginning of the war on drugs, and it was also, the military was pumping and methamphetamines or opioids to the soldiers, as well as like weed and cocaine and shit. So they're coming back with chemical dependency, and then you get into like Afghanistan, Iraq, where the global war on terror. That's what we'll call it, global war on terror, and that's a whole different beast in its own. So yeah, I mean, like each generation has something different to deal with the exception of uh, World War II, and I just don't think that the VA, Veterans Administration, or science has given a lot of time to World War II veterans to actually study them and study the effects of their PTSD.
So I mean, but there was so much with what about World War One? I mean, like I feel like I mean that's where the term kind of came from was
Yeah,
World War One. And so I mean, was there just less on World War Two? Because I felt like, I mean, there was a pretty decent amount. I mean, it's not what it is for later conflicts, obviously, but I felt
yeah.
like there was quite a bit with World War One.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I don't know the science behind it or like the studies that have been conducted on it, but also the VA is not like an old entity either, right? So um I don't know what they suffered from. I know like I've heard stories of like Civil War, like men from Civil War coming back being traumatized. Also, I've heard stories of men from the Civil War that were kind of came back and they're like, and they went and did their thing.
So, what do you think you would be doing if you were on a force against force
Force on force.
scenario,
What do you?
force on force scenario? Like, what would be your equivalent of what you were doing when you were in overseas, as opposed to like if you were like, what would your equivalent be during force on force?
Oh, okay. So essentially, like with my job, what I was doing, I would essentially be behind the forward line, but like preparing the battlefield for the clash. So essentially, I would be talking to artillery and mortars to do coordinating fire so that they could start striking certain areas to disrupt movement, and then and prepare our forward assaulting line to go through and attack, but also be talking to jets and helicopters to get them to do like strafing runs or bomb drops on certain areas, or in a line to disrupt enemy movement, but also to, like I said, prep the battlefield for the forward assaulting line to go through. And it would just be like coordinating attack after that point.
So, like, if you were in the Civil War, where
Mm-hmm.
would you be? Would it
Uh, Behind the
same?
forward assaulting line. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But even then, well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what I would be. But like, if we had the technology now, or if the Civil War had the technology that we had now, right? Like, I would probably be on an observation area. So like kind of like a scout going up to a location and sitting there and watching everything happen, and calling in targets of opportunity to shoot and destroy things. So like destroying artillery pieces, destroying fast movers, or like helipads, or um, one of the big ones in Iraq that was happening was destroying airports. destroying runways. Because you put the craters in the runways, aircraft can't take off.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what would happen. So
Okay. All right.
I had a cool ass job. I enjoyed it. I loved watching things go boom.
Yeah. Right.
I
It's
like to go boom.
yeah. So okay. So to go back,
Hmm.
now that we kind of went off on
We had a
that,
side quest.
yeah, that was a side quest. So I don't know how we got on that.
Burning poo.
Oh, burning poo. Okay, so cool. So we're talking about burning poo. So if you remember, uh, what is the aftermath of the burning poo? Does it turn into nothing, or does it go into like what is the half life, the
Shelf
post,
life.
the shelf life of it after burning poo?
Well, it essentially would crisp up. Like it would harden up because it's a liquid substance going to a solid. So like you gotta think it's under intense heat, it's gonna start to like shrink up and crystallize almost. I wouldn't say crystallize. We didn't allow it to get to a point where we were like, oh, let's study it for fucking science, right? We
Sure.
it would essentially it would cook down. Cook down is a terrible way to say it, but that's true. It would cook down into a solid state and sometimes crystallize at the bottom of the barrel, and we would either knock it out or wait for the barrel to cool down, and then we shove it back under so that people could go piss and shit again.
On top of it, on top of the hardened
Hmm.
shit and
Yep.
piss, and then
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah.
Um, so like you either have to get it. You mean remove it like taking like a shovel type of thing and fucking
Yeah.
scraping it out
Yeah.
and fucking going. And so then
Yeah.
what happens with that? Where's that all go? Does that go into the back of some truck and
Back
then
in back
haul it
into the
off
earth.
back into
Back
the
into the
earth
earth.
and then buried or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially buried.
So, but then you got shit on the shovel, and then what happens with that? What happens with that shit on that shovel?
Nothing. I mean, we're not really using that. That was like a dedicated like shit shovel, right?
Sure.
It wasn't like we were turning around and being like, oh, hey, yeah, let's dig this back into the earth and create things out of it. That was a dedicated shit shovel, and everybody wore gloves, right? Like it wasn't like we were going knuckle deep into shit. Everybody wore gloves for the most amount of protection, but there was no respirators. There was no, most of us burnt it without a shirt on. So like, imagine that, right? And so like, you're breathing in these toxic fucking chemicals into your system on, with the feces and with the gas, and then just the fumes, and then whatever fumes get on your skin like that, you're breathing that into your skin, so it has lasting effects on your body. um, Also, there's things that we worked with that created radiation. So there's guys that were getting testicular cancer because of the radiation. Yep. There's
From
guys
what?
that were radiation, like I would say radiation poisoning, but definitely an introduction of cancer into your body. There's guys that were becoming infertile because of the radiation.
Whoa.
There's
Okay.
a lot of things that the general public has no idea of what of the things that we went through, which are crazy,
Yeah.
right? Like, so in Iraq and Afghanistan, there's a massive like IED or improvised explosive device threat. And there were many different ones, right? Like you had pressure plates where you press down on it, boom, or a release pressure plate where you press down on it, and once you step up on it, boom. Then you got remote controlled IEDs, which it takes a remote via like pressing a button or making a phone call or a certain tone being played, and it sends a signal, boom. So we had these things that were called jammers to essentially jam the signal, like an EMP signal, to jam the signal while we were going through the area. And then we had a certain bubble around us. And when we were going through, it would jam the signal and it would prevent any like IED. from being exploded that was a remote control or RCIED.
Was it
And
raspberry that
maybe
when the radar was jammed?
yeah.
Because only one man would give me the raspberry.
Yeah.
Lone
So
Star. Sorry.
so
Uh,
no, you're
yeah.
good. You're good. So essentially, there had to be, soldiers to go to these classes to learn how to operate these things. And then we had like these man-made packs that would go on our back that would reach sometimes 200 fucking degrees, um, to help jam those signals as well. And there had to be men or soldiers, service members that went to these classes to learn how to do them. But they always said like, don't stand in front of the radar when it's turned on. Well, you don't fucking know when it's turned on because there's no lights to it. It's just a panel. It's literally a big ass panel like this, and it sits on the front of your like front of the vehicle, right? Off to the left or the right side of the of the window in the front, so you don't know if it's on or not. And so there's no telling now. It scrambles the brain. It can introduce microwaves into your body. It can, cause cancer. And I know right now two guys that had testicular cancer from that.
How old are they?
Actually, three.
Because like I remember from the Tom Green cancer special that it's usually around the late 20s
Yeah.
that people get testicular cancer. And then after that, it becomes a lot less high of a number.
So most of the guys were in their mid 20s. So like anywhere from 23 to 25.
Okay.
Um,
Thanks,
but
Tom
yeah,
Green,
yeah,
for
yeah.
your
Thanks, Tom.
fucking getting testicular cancer.
Right, right.
That's very nice of
Um,
you.
yeah, but it was a crazy situation to be a part of and to see. And I'm not saying that I have any of the effects of it. Like I'm not growing a fucking hand out of my forehead. Um, but it definitely is something like that I have to watch out for, right? Because like they say the short term studies that they have, that it has to do, that some of the symptoms can be like acid reflux, which I have, GERD, which I have, and obviously cancer, um, hair loss, shit like that. Like, I mean, I have a receding fucking hairline. I'm not saying that I suffer from it, but it's oddly coincidental, right? So I started gathering. They had a big lawsuit, that is still ongoing that they're paying money out for with the PACT Act. So and then they've had like a bunch of them. Like if you've ever watched like YouTube, where it's like if you were military and you wore the 3M earbuds for hearing protection, you're entitled to money, which that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Okay. And so, I mean, all this to say
yeah.
that
Communication's
the
key.
communication is key. And so, like, when you get shit and there's shit from somewhere, you heard how long that shit hung around, and no matter what you did, you still have these remnants of the shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have this other part that the other person has no clue about, all the other poisonings, all the other side effects from other external forces that people have no fucking clue about, that are in there, and there's experiences that the other person is having is going to be completely unique, and there's so much that is underlying that they're not brought up at the beginning that is going to incorporate into this, especially if unresolved, not worked through, and maybe it's all
Mhm.
subconscious and not
Yeah.
any part of it. But then that's all still stuff that's going to be there, all going to be showing up, all part of what's happening. It's not just a bunch of shit, it's a bunch of shit that's trying to get burned, but you still got either fucking scrape that shit out and fucking hopefully bury it back in the ground or just stomp it down. But every time you piss and shit on it, you're piss and shitting on old, dried up, crispy piss and shit. And what
Yeah,
do you
you're
get?
not wrong. Yeah. And that's another thing that through this process I've been able to do is really sit with it, but I see things from her perspective, right? Not put myself, I like try to put myself in her shoes, but obviously I don't know exactly like the full extent of what she's going through, right? But like I'm capable of taking ownership of my shit, but also like seeing like, hey, like there's some underlying things that she's not talking about. And that's okay. It's not my responsibility to take ownership or accountability of that. I'm able to look at that and be like, hey, look, I can understand why she responded this way. And she'll never say it, right? Like, and if she does, maybe there's a point in the future where she's like, hey, look, this is I reacted this way because of this. Okay, cool. We'll have that conversation. But like at that point, that conversation would have to be had under the understanding that like we're not poking the bear. We're not trying to stoke a fucking fire here.
Right.
We're just literally taking accountability of our shit. And I've taken accountability of mine. So, you know, I like I said, I can show grace to somebody that I'm looking at and I understand like they've been through some shit and they're doing the best that they can with what they have, but they're not at the level of understanding of themselves and self awareness that I am, and I have to give them time to get to that point.
Yeah. Um, Side note,
Cycles.
again, which has nothing to do with that. So, GERD and acid reflux, a big contributing factor, because I had to go do this as well, because I was drinking a shit ton of uh, carbonated water,
Hmm.
um, and it's cold and it's bubbly, and they said that I need to not be doing that. And also, like the Chinese are like, you shouldn't be drinking stuff that's cold and bubbly. You should be drinking stuff that's hot and fucking
Hot
uh,
bubbly.
hot, not bubbly, because the cold and bubbly slows down all your fucking energy, and but it also goes in very much disrupts uh, a lot of stuff with causing GERD and acid reflux from the bubbles, because they're like, you need to not be drinking a lot of fucking bubbly stuff or not drinking bubbly stuff at all. And I'm like, fuck, that sucks, because
Right.
that's what I like drinking. And
Right.
yeah, I'm still fucking drinking it, but I'm not drinking as many as I was.
Yeah.
But that one fucking sucked. That was it did help, but it's hard when I drink a lot of those. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't
In the
know.
words of Jericho, a little bit of the bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly, man. You got to
Yeah.
have a little bit of the bubbly, man. But
Um, but no, speaking on GERD though, like if we're talking about GERD, like or acid reflux, man, there's a lot that contributes to it. A
uh-huh.
lot. It's almost like you have to live a clean life in order to prevent that from happening, like a completely clean life. No tobacco. The drinking was a big one, like alcohol. Alcohol is
Alcohol.
a huge contributor to it.
It's cold bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
cold bubbly, man, is not good for our system. Like, you,
yeah.
you gotta listen to the fucking Chinese people, man. Sometimes they've been doing
Yeah.
stuff. They like they got it down. Like, they're the people who fucking figured out, let's get this one way. We're gonna get it right, and then we're never gonna fucking deviate from it. But it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. But they also live in a communist country, so there's that.
True. But I mean, that means everybody's fucking doing it.
Living a
Like,
healthy.
yeah, but I mean, like, what you have from the like once you're a vet, you basically get to
Mhm.
live the communist life.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
got, you have everything, fucking everybody's kind of equal. It's not amazing,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
kind of what.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe next time, maybe next episode, if we remember to dive into it, like I can
Sure.
dive into like the benefits of the that I receive from the VA, not like specific numbers or anything like that, but like the benefits and like how the VA operates, like and the good and the bad of the VA, because the VA is good, but it also sucks
Like
horribly. And I have an
communism.
opinion about that. Like communism. Absolutely. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like there are some good components to the VA, but then there's some components that's like that shouldn't be a thing. So,
Right.
I mean, maybe we can dive into that.
Yeah. And people
But
shouldn't be getting fucked around like that, especially people who have gone and done a lot of stuff for the country.
yeah, yeah, you shouldn't be dicking around people that have served the country.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as somebody who served the country. I'm saying that like even beforehand, I feel that way. You shouldn't be dicking around people who risk their life, limit eyesight for you.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm good with that. Yeah. So that's I'm good. I don't know, man. That's I feel okay with that. I'm okay to say that. I'll stand
yeah,
behind that,
yeah.
stamp that shit with me.
Stamp it with you. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up with the show, Rusty, what you got going on this week? Anything crazy? Anything
Oh,
wild?
um, no, I think I'm gonna go on another podcast. I'm gonna go on this podcast I like. I'm gonna shout out to them, the Cave, K4V3. There's a number of guys. Uh, they're fucking cool. I've been on their show probably 2 or 3 times, and they've been on
Mm-hmm.
mine maybe once, maybe twice. But I'm
But
gonna
never
do
a
that.
third time.
Never a third time. But I mean, it could be like I don't. I would have to go back and look at my numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go on their show. But I'm looking for guests. I'm looking. I'm on the hunt for guests, but I'm not going to do shows right now just to do shows. I'm looking for the right people. I don't want to just do it just to do
Mhm.
it. I'm in the groove. I don't want to do it just to say, "Hey, I'm releasing an episode right now." I want to give people fucking good shit, as good as I
Quality
can do
over
it.
quantity.
Quality over
Cool.
quantity, and crazy episodes of doing 10 in a row and then not doing one for a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that, dude. And I'm keeping it fucking as soon as I'm recording them, I'm putting them up. So it says
Nice.
current. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm probably gonna do some other shit. We're trying to get some shit in the works. So what about
Mhm.
you? What you got going?
So we have one of our mutual friends and healers coming over this weekend.
Oh
We
yeah,
there's yeah, yeah.
Steve.
So yeah, Steve. Brittany's coming over this weekend. Maybe with her boyfriend. Still, that's still up in the air, depending on what his work schedule looks like. But we there's a grand opening that one of the veteran nonprofits has like 10 minutes down the road of their holistic healing farm. So I'm gonna go to that. And yeah, we're working on building some stuff in town here. Um, Rusty and I are working on building some stuff in town here to help, not just us, but other people. And we're working on rebuilding what we have. And yeah, I've got like less than a month left in my shamanic healing classes, so I'm almost done with that. I've got 2 classes left, one next week and then one on November 6th. Once that's done, it's off to the races, and we'll start doing that and working on getting contracted through that veteran nonprofit, working on getting contracted through a few other places to do healing sessions with them. Uh, yeah, it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it's getting that time where it's time to do inside shit. And
Yeah.
here we are,
Yep.
man. We're not going to the water slide today. So
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a few trips in the future I have planned. Um, I'm excited for those. Yeah. So, but anyways, until next week, thank you for being here.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for being here. If you're here and you're at this moment of it and you're at the end, dude, you fucking get 3 fucking points. What are you gonna use
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
points on?
I'm gonna just right there. 3 claps. You get three
Dude, you
claps.
didn't got any claps. It fucking took all those out because your mic is good. It fucking did
Yeah.
not play any of those. I saw you slap 3 times. It did
What?
nothing. It did
Oh
nothing.
shit. Okay.
There is
All right.
not one noise.
You get 3 silent claps from me.
Yeah, dude. Man, silent clap. The silent clap, man, I'm gonna go see them tomorrow
Oh
night
no.
at the
No,
fucking
no.
stadium right down the street, dude. The silent clap. They're
The
fucking
silent
awesome.
clap.
If you haven't seen the silent clap, dude, go see them. Do yourself a fucking favor.
Jesus. All right. Until next week. We'll see you guys later. Be good. Much love.